My dear brothers and sisters, in the quiet of our hearts, in the stillness that comes after noise and distraction fade away, we often find ourselves longing for something deeper, not just more things or more experiences, but something that gives meaning to what we already have. We live in a world that moves quickly, that rewards ambition, productivity, and accumulation. Yet, in all this movement, we risk forgetting one of the most profound truths of our human journey, that life is a gift. And where there is a gift, there must also be gratitude. Gratitude is not only a polite word or a fleeting feeling when things go our way. Gratitude is a way of seeing. It is a lens through which we view the world, others, and ourselves. It is a seed that, when nurtured, grows into joy, peace, and even healing. But how do we cultivate this spirit of gratitude, especially in a time when so many hearts are weary, and many are burdened with sorrow, uncertainty, and suffering? We begin by pausing. In the rush of our daily lives, we forget to stop. We forget to look around. The first step in cultivating gratitude is learning how to see. To see the small things, the smile of a child, the warmth of the sun on our skin, the food on our table, the friend who checks in when we are silent. These are not small at all. They are signs of the nearness of God, quietly whispering to us through ordinary moments. Sometimes we believe that we must feel grateful only when life is good. But true gratitude doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It flourishes in the soil of struggle and trial. Some of the most grateful hearts I have known are not the ones who have everything, but those who have suffered and yet remain tender. They are the ones who give thanks for what remains, even when much has been lost. To cultivate this spirit of gratitude, we must return to humility. Pride tells us we deserve more, better, faster. Gratitude reminds us that every breath, every heartbeat, every act of love we receive is a gift, not a right. It softens the heart and opens the eyes. It teaches us to be content without becoming complacent, to desire without becoming greedy. It teaches us to share. When we are truly grateful, we stop seeing others as competitors or threats and begin to see them as companions on the journey. Gratitude builds bridges. It helps us forgive. It helps us listen. It makes us generous, not because we are rich, but because we understand what we've been given. But let us not pretend it is easy. There are seasons of life when gratitude feels like a far country. Times of loss, grief, betrayal. In those moments, our soul may cry out, "What do I have to be thankful for?" And yet, it is often in those very valleys that the spirit of gratitude is born, not as something we manufacture, but as something we discover. It is born in surrender, in the realization that even when all else is stripped away, we are not abandoned. God remains. Love remains. Let us look to the example of those who carry heavy burdens, but still lift their eyes to heaven. The mother who prays for her child in the silence of the night. The father who goes without so his family might have enough. The elderly person who smiles with wisdom earned through pain. The sick who offer their suffering for others. These are the hidden saints among us. They teach us that gratitude is not about having everything, but about recognizing the value of what we do have and whom we have. Gratitude must also be practiced. Like any virtue, it grows stronger with use. It is a choice, not just a feeling. When we wake up each morning, do we begin with complaint or with thanks? Do we see the flaws in the people around us, or the gifts they bring to our lives? Do we focus on what we lack or on what we have been given? This shift, small though it may seem, has the power to change everything. It can transform homes, communities, even nations. Gratitude also requires memory. We must remember the good we have received. In the scriptures, we see again and again the call to remember. Remember how you were once a slave and how God set you free. Remember how you were hungry and someone fed you. Remember how you were alone and someone walked beside you. These memories anchor us. They prevent our hearts from growing hard or cynical. They keep us rooted in the truth that we are part of a story much larger than ourselves. And this story includes pain, yes, but it also includes redemption. It includes the God who enters our mess, who walks with us, who suffers with us, and who still says, "Give thanks." Not because all is well, but because all is held in his hands. Cultivating a spirit of gratitude also means rejecting the lie of entitlement. In a consumer world, we are told that more will make us happy, but gratitude says, "What I have is enough." Entitlement says, "I deserve everything." Gratitude says, "Everything is a gift." Entitlement leads to frustration, bitterness, even violence. Gratitude leads to peace. Let us also be grateful for the people who challenge us, who correct us, who force us to grow. Sometimes our greatest opportunities for spiritual growth come through the people who are hardest to love. Gratitude for them does not mean approving of wrongs, but recognizing how even conflict can be a teacher if we let it. One of the most beautiful expressions of gratitude is prayer. Not prayer that is always asking for something, but prayer that simply says, "Thank you." A whispered thank you. In the dark, a tearful thank you. At the end of a long road, a joyful thank you. At the birth of something new. These prayers are precious in the eyes of God. They rise like incense. They echo in eternity. When we cultivate gratitude, we also teach it. Children learn more from what we model than from what we say. If they see us giving thanks, they will learn to do the same. If they hear us speak well of others, they will be less tempted to criticize. If they see us care for the poor, they will learn compassion. Gratitude is contagious. It spreads wherever it is practiced. Even creation teaches us to be grateful. The birds do not hoard. The flowers do not fret. The sun does not demand praise. And yet in their being they glorify the Creator. The world is full of signs if we would only notice. Gratitude opens our eyes to wonder. And where there is wonder, there is hope. Finally, let us remember that gratitude is not something we must wait for until everything is perfect. We can be grateful here and now, in this very moment, with all its imperfections, with all its wounds, with all its beauty. We are alive. We are loved. We are never alone. Let us walk forward with hearts wide open. Let us give thanks for the gifts we see and for those yet to be revealed. Let us make our lives a hymn of gratitude, not just in words, but in how we live, how we love, and how we serve. We must also consider the hidden places within ourselves where gratitude struggles to take root. There are moments, perhaps even long seasons, when the heart feels numb, closed, even resentful. We may carry wounds from the past, words that were never apologized for, betrayals that changed our course, unanswered prayers that still echo in our silence. These wounds, if not brought to the light, become barriers to gratitude. But when we bring them before God, not pretending, not dressing them up, just as they are raw, messy, real, something beautiful begins. Not immediately, but gradually, healing begins its quiet work. And with healing comes the possibility of thankfulness, not because the past was good, but because even the painful parts of our story can be redeemed. So often, gratitude begins when we recognize that we are not the center of the universe. The sun does not rise for us alone. The rain falls not just on our fields. There is a humility in recognizing our smallness and a liberation, too. When we stop clinging to control, when we accept that we are not owed anything, then every small blessing becomes magnified. The cup of water, the kind word, the morning light. When nothing is expected, everything is a surprise. And how important it is to express this gratitude, not just to feel it quietly, but to speak it aloud. How many people walk through life never hearing the words, "I am grateful for you"? How many spouses, how many parents, how many friends, how many teachers quietly give and give, waiting for a thank you that never comes? A grateful heart must also become a grateful voice. Let us say it not just once, but often. Let us write it. Let us show it. Gratitude grows when it is shared. We cannot speak of gratitude without also speaking of mercy. When we understand how much we have been forgiven not only by others, but by God, our hearts become softer, more open, more compassionate. Gratitude and mercy are sisters. One cannot live without the other. A grateful person becomes less harsh, less judgmental. They begin to see that others are also struggling, also yearning, also doing their best. This is the soil in which community grows. And how desperately we need communities of gratitude, not just individuals with thankful hearts, but entire families, neighborhoods, workplaces, even parishes, where the culture is one of appreciation rather than criticism, where joy replaces envy, where people build one another up instead of tearing one another down. This does not mean ignoring problems, but it means approaching them with a spirit of hope rather than complaint. It means choosing to focus on what is good, even as we work to heal what is broken. When gratitude becomes a habit of the soul, it begins to change what we notice. We start to see beauty where once we saw boredom. We begin to notice the dignity in every person, not just the ones we like, not just those who agree with us, but everyone, the stranger, the poor, the prisoner, the one who thinks differently, the one who is difficult to love. A grateful heart is not selective. It is expansive. It sees with the eyes of God. Let us be clear, this is not a naive optimism. It is not pretending that everything is fine. It is not a denial of injustice or pain. Gratitude is not a way of escaping suffering, but of transforming it. It is not an alternative to action, it is the foundation of right action. The person who is grateful for creation becomes a better steward of the earth. The person who is grateful for their blessings becomes more generous with those in need. The person who is grateful for forgiveness becomes more forgiving. Gratitude sets the heart in motion toward others, toward justice, toward peace. And in moments when we feel most empty, when gratitude seems furthest away, we can still make an offering, a small act of trust, a simple thank you spoken in faith, even when we don't feel it yet. These are the most precious thanksgivings. They are not cheap words, they are sacrifices. The scriptures call it a sacrifice of praise. It is not easy, but it is holy. We might ask ourselves, as we reflect today, what would change in our lives if we truly cultivated this spirit of gratitude? Would our homes become gentler? Would our conversations become kinder? Would our hearts become more restful, less anxious, less angry, would we finally begin to recognize the quiet abundance that surrounds us. It is not a question of having more, but of seeing more, of recognizing what has been before us all along. The sun still rises, the seasons still turn, there are still people who love, there is still a God who listens. And what about those moments when we have failed to be grateful, when we have taken for granted the people closest to us, when we have forgotten to thank the giver of all gifts, when we have focused only on what we lack? Even then, gratitude calls us not to guilt, but to renewal. We are invited to begin again. Every morning, a new chance. Every breath, a new invitation. Let us look around us now, even here, even in this moment. Let us open our hearts. There is always something, always someone worthy of thanks. So, my dear brothers and sisters, let us not wait for joy to come in fullness before we give thanks. Let us not wait for perfect conditions, or for the storm to pass, or for all our questions to be answered. Let us begin now. Let us choose gratitude not as a reaction to what we have, but as a way of living, as a path of faith, as a daily yes to the goodness that still surrounds us. Let us be people who remember. Let us be people who see. Let us be people who give thanks with our words, our actions, and our lives. Because a grateful heart is not only a blessed heart, it is a transforming heart. It sees light in the darkness, finds hope in despair, and turns even sorrow into a song. And in a world that often forgets how to be still, how to notice, how to love, may we be the ones who remember. May we be the ones who see. May we be the ones who give thanks. And may our gratitude, imperfect though it may be, rise like incense to heaven, not only with our lips, but with how we walk, how we forgive, how we care, and how we serve. For this too is worship. This too is love. This too is the way. Thanks for watching.